So India are champions all over again in the aftermath of the ICC Champions Trophy, and India's bid win it, and the good times perhaps back in Indian cricket, at least for now. Rahul Dravid joins us on an ESPNcricinfo special to talk about India's performance at the Champions Trophy and Indian cricket looking forward. Welcome, Rahul.
Thank you.
So Rahul, we've just seen the Champions Trophy in dramatic fashion. India have won it. You did manage to see the entire game. Now a lot of people were saying probably India won the best team on the day, but undoubtedly throughout the course of the tournament, the best team. Deserving winners?
I think they were the best team on the day as well. I mean, they didn't panic at crucial situations. They won the crucial situations. Whenever it mattered, India won those critical moments, as you call it, towards the end of sort of both innings. I think India's batting to get them to 130. The partnership between Kohli and then Jadeja's runs at the end. And then they're bowling towards the end. I think India was a better team on the day as well.
Now, it's been a different Indian squad that's travelled over here. A makeshift squad in some ways. Rohit Sharma was made to open. Dinesh Karthik was slotted in as a batsman for the first time, not as a wicketkeeper. Now, this seems to be a good, steady squad. Do you like the shape of the squad? Do you think it's got all the right people to probably take India forward up to the 2015 World Cup?
Look, I think the great thing that India had in this squad was balance. I think surprisingly, and something that probably surprised a lot of us, were the conditions in England and just how much the ball actually spun. Because of nature of those kind of wickets, it actually allowed India to play 7 batsmen, with Jadeja batting at 7, and actually 5 frontline bowlers. So they had, all bases covered. In the past, Indian teams haven't had that luxury because they haven't had that kind of personnel. The fact that the tracks spun, allowed Jadeja to become actually a proper frontline spinner. And the fact that they were slightly slower in nature meant that his batting at 7, he was good enough to bat at 7. So it was almost subcontinental conditions. So they had a perfect balance for this competition, and it showed in the kind of cricket they played. And they played brilliantly well. I think it's as we've seen even with this team. It's dangerous to look too far ahead. I mean, who would have thought that after India won the World Cup in 2011, 2 years down the line, we'd be playing with only 3 of those players who actually were in that squad. I mean, that's like a completely new team. So it's dangerous to look that far ahead. But I think, going into Australia, if India can get this kind of balance, whoever the personnel are, and names, India would like these players to have that experience and be there. But even if 1 or 2 were to miss out, what I think India would like would be this kind of balance, to be able to play 7 batsmen and 5 bowlers that are effective in those conditions. Maybe 2 spinners might not be effective in Australia and New Zealand. You might need a 4th seamer or a seamer or a bowler who can, bat a bit, who's a seamer. That's been India's problem. We haven't, after Kapil Dev and to some extent Manoj Prabhakar, we haven't really been able to find that fast bowling all-rounder. Whether that will be required in Australia, who knows in a year and a half's time. But I mean, if India can sort of work towards maintaining this kind of balance in the team, then I think India, do really well.
Yeah, we've tried probably Irfan Pathan to fit in that role. It's probably not worked. He's turned more into a batsman who can bowl a little bit. Is that something that India desperately needs, or something that they do well with in Australia? Just a bowler who can bowl seam up and bat?
I think it's nice to explore that option. It'd be terrific to explore that option. Obviously, Irfan is the one in the squad at the moment, and who knows, in a year and a half's time, he might discover his mojo back and be the guy India needs. These conditions, Ravindra Jadeja was perfect and worked well for India, and it might work in Australia as well. He might, be the way he's bowling. I don't see why he wouldn't be effective there. But I think just from a balance perspective, it would be nice to have that option as well. Having a guy, so if conditions do dictate, you could go with a seaming or a fast bowling all-rounder if the conditions are require it to be so. But all in all, I thought the fielding was exceptional. India was brilliant on the field. It's not very often you would say that India was probably the best fielding side in the competition, and they were fantastic. I thought it was really good. You could see a vibe, you could see an energy in the side. And they played really well. Credit to them. Credit to the selectors. I think sometimes we tend to forget them in times like this, but I think they've done a really good job. It could have been very easy to have sometime gone back, and I think maybe a lot of people did feel that maybe they were a little bit light on experience, but I think they've been proved right, that they went for energy, they went for young legs, they went with people who had a lot to prove. And it's worked out. So, good luck to them. Well done to them, really, and well done to the Indian side.
Yeah, kudos to the Indian side and the selectors, like you said. Now, we won't look too forward, as we shouldn't in cricket, but coming pretty in the short run is the tour of South Africa. Now, we've spoken, a lot of people have been talking about it. This is the first time most of this Indian team will be traveling to South Africa perhaps with the exception of Dhoni, none of them even played in those conditions. And the personnel will pretty much be the same. Do you think, looking at what you've seen in the one-day internationals, maybe hard to compare in different formats, but this team looking good to even play South Africa, or is that going to be a real test?
I think it's going to be a different test. I think India was always, before the tournament started, we were the number one-day side in the competition. In the rankings, we are number one, but in the test rankings, we are number 4 or 5 behind South Africa, which is the number one side. So it's going to be a completely different challenge, a much more tougher challenge, especially if Dale Steyn and Mone Mokul and Vernon Philander are fit. So that's going to be a different challenge, especially for a young Indian side. But they've got ability. These guys have a lot of talent, as we've seen. They've got, like we said, they've got a lot to prove. They've got a whole career ahead of them. So it's going to be different, different challenges, different conditions, and there again, I think India is going to be faced with that situation of finding the right balance in terms of especially their fast bowling attack. To win Test matches in South Africa, India is going to need to find 20 wickets. And to find 4 bowlers who are going to get them 20 wickets is going to be the key. You'd back them to score runs. In some situations, they'll have the odd bad innings, but I think with the batting lineup that they will take, they will score runs in 1 or 2 innings. But will they have the bowlers to knock over South Africa out quickly enough to get 20 wickets is going to be the question. And I think the heartening thing from India's point of view is that Umesh Yadav looked really good in this tournament. At least he's come back to bowling, hopefully with a little bit more of workload and bowling in his legs. He should be in much better shape come South Africa. Ishant Sharma looks like he's bowling really well as well. So a couple of good positives there. Bhuvneshwar Kumar swung the ball as well. So there's some nice positives to build on, and hopefully these guys can stay fit and keep improving by the time South Africa comes. But a different challenge, but I think an exciting one for this young Indian side.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of people talking about the Indian fast bowling lineup perhaps being the only weakness, the Achilles heel of this side. Now South Africa have got raw pace with terrific direction in the form of Steyn, Mokul and company. Now with this Indian side, a lot of people still not sure about Ishant Sharma in all formats. Yesterday it could have been either fortunes for him had that one over not changed. Going into South Africa, you've played with a lot of the young IPL players and a lot of the younger players. Do you see a place for anyone else, any type of bowler that you'd like to see added to that South African tour, or are you happy with the current combination that we're going with?
I know it's a long call, but if Zahir Khan can get himself fit, he's at his best and bowling well, Zahir Khan is priceless, But I think selectors have to be tough with him and ensure that he's in the best shape and bowling really well, and only then carry him. But if he can get himself and somebody can, get behind him and get Zahir, to his sort of to some peak fitness, he's the kind of guy I'd love to have in a side. He's got experience, he's got skill, he's got it all, and he's done it before. So, but the rider there is that he's got to be fully fit and bowling well, and got some bowling behind him, and not try and get fit when he gets to South Africa. I'd like him to have played a substantial amount of 4-day cricket before he actually is even considered to go to South Africa. But if he can do that, then I think Zahir's someone you would never rule out.
So all in all, bright future for Indian cricket.
Yeah, I think it's great. Irrespective of whatever happens in South Africa, I think you're seeing the signs of a really good young Indian side developing. And sure, they're going to have their ups and downs, and they're going to have the bad odd series from here on in. But I think the selectors have been brave and they've picked some young people. So hopefully they'll keep developing and growing from here. There are some other guys, good senior players, good young players knocking on the doors, pushing them all the time, and that's only going to be healthy for Indian cricket, because if you've got a lot of pressure coming in from underneath, that keeps everyone in the team honest, keeps them working hard, and that can only help Indian cricket.
It's a brave side, it's an upcoming side, and the future is bright, as per Rahul Dravid. Thanks a lot, Rahul.
Thank you.